All right, so today we're going to change out this slide floor. And to do that, I normally brace the slide room with a big 2x4, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that now. This is a pretty useful trick. I guess somebody at the shop probably showed me at some point. So the way I do it, you got all your screw holes there, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lean this board right in front of them, and I'm going to smack it with a hammer. And what that's going to do is it's going to imprint those nail heads on the other side of this board, and then I'll be able to go back through with a drill those out, and then I'll have holes that will line up perfectly with each one of these screw holes. That way I can put my new longer screws through this board and then through the original screw holes to hold this in place without having to make new screw holes. So let's do that now. As you see here, I set the board flush up against the outside fascia, tap it with a rubber mallet, and that's very important. Use a rubber mallet here, because if you miss, you don't want to mess anything up. So definitely use a rubber mallet, and then give it a nice few whacks to make sure that those screw heads get imprinted into the back of that board. And if you look, you can see the indentations where the screws go. So I'm just going to drill these holes out, and then they'll line up perfectly with these. I'll take these short screws out, and then I'll go back with these, and these will run through the board, and they'll have just a little bit that's sticking through that will go into the sidewall. And this is going to support the slide room as I take the floor out and disconnect the ramps and stuff underneath. So this board's going to be what's holding up my slide room while I'm doing the repairs. And when I'm drilling these out, I'm using a drill bit that's just a little bit smaller than the screws that I'm going to use. That way it gets a nice grab on it. And now I'm going to go through, take out all the screws that line up with the holes that I just drilled out, and we're going to run those longer screws in to hold this board in. Right here you see me, I'm just lining up those screws that are going through the board with the holes that are existing, and once I get them lined up, I'm just going to zip them in with the drill, and then yeah, I've got my brace set up. So that's pretty much all there is to it. I use this trick on almost every slide floor that I do. And as you see here, they didn't line up perfectly, so I just give them a little tap with the hammer down, and now they line up just fine. So yeah, that should prove useful to anybody who's trying to do a slide floor. It's the difference between needing to use a bunch of jacks or a forklift or something else. This works really well. And now, actually I'm going to add two more. But for the most part, you get the concept. So whenever I release the ram arms down here, and then run those back to get out of the way of the floor so I can drop this floor out, these 2x4s that I put along each side are going to hold up this slide room so that it doesn't fall out of the hole. So yeah, this is a trick that I use on almost all my slide floor replacements.